GameCola faithful, and welcome to the GameCola Podcast. This is podcast episode number JD2, and I am your Jostess with the mostess, Joseph Martin, and we've got a lovely, perfectly normal podcast for you today, so why doesn't everybody introduce themselves? Wow, I think that was the best introduction we've ever had. It went so smoothly for once. Nobody got confused or anything. Man, this is a great crew to be doing the podcast with. We should do this more often in this perfectly normal episode of the GameCola Podcast happening on this day, April 1st, which is a completely ordinary day that doesn't mean anything with any subtext. So hello, thanks for listening to this episode. Let's drop the bit. The bit, we're going to take the bit. Here's the bit. I'm going to put it down. There we go. The bit is down. Hi, it's me, Joseph Martin, and for this April 1st podcast, I'm doing what Jetty did. Jetty did a podcast where he did it just by himself, but guess what, Jetty? I'm going to do it for reals this time. Jetty, a couple minutes of just being like, I guess there's nobody here. No, this is a full April Fool's Day podcast. It's just me. I don't know how good it's going to be. It might be terrible, but it's April Fool's Day. So we'll just see how that goes. I do have notes. Cuz there's no one to discuss or suggest topics, so I've got notes. And I'm going to tell you about some video game news and discussion ? We'll see how it goes. So let's just do it. Let's do the thing. Let's see how this goes. So first of all, we've got, there's some Nintendo stuff, of course, has happened. It usually does. Might as well update you. It's pretty consistent at this point. There was the Indie Developer Showcase, which sort of happened. I think that one of the big things was that Cuphead is coming to Switch. People are really excited about that. Cuphead it's a very cool game, if you haven't heard about it. It's the one that is like, all of the art is animated like it's an older cartoon, but like it's a video game that you can play with your hands, or whatever you want to play video games with. I won't judge. But yeah, it's coming to Switch, and that's pretty neat. The other thing that was really cool was this game called Cadence of Hyrule, and it's sort of like a, like the Warriors games, if you know, like Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, where like it's a series or maybe just one game from another developer, and it's getting the Zelda flavor to it. So it's this rhythm game. This game is a Zelda game, but like it's sort of turn-based, but not like you wait your turn to go, but like there's a song and there's a rhythm, and you do a thing at each rhythm, at each beat of the rhythm. And that's how you, like, play the game. So there's sort of, like, this calculation. It looks really cool. I wish I played more musical video games than I do. Rhythm Heaven looks really cool, and I've just never played it. But, like, this, I mean, I listened to the Beat Block Skyway song, the one that in Mario 3D World that has, like, the beeps that tell you when the platform switches. I listened to that song unironically with the beeps, because rhythm is, ironically, or just maybe it just makes sense, it's not how ironically works, it is my jam. I do like me some rhythm games, so I'm definitely keeping an eye out on that. Of course, if you listen to the other podcast, you'll know that Pokemon stuff happened almost immediately after we recorded the podcast. So I mean, I put the details in there. So like, we've got the new starters. It's taking place in the Galar region. It's the United Kingdom, we think, or Great Britain, the island of Great Britain. And I don't know if like the rest of the United Kingdom is going to feature as like bonus areas. Pokemon does do the thing sometimes where like at the end of the game, what if the island of Ireland and Northern Ireland, what if that island is like the battle frontier, like the post-game content? That's a cool idea that you can credit to me, even if someone else has had it. I thought of it originally just now. The other thing, so there's the cool starters, you should check those out. There's also this rumor going around about armored evolutions. It's sort of like, from what I can tell, it's not exactly like confirmed or denied. I think it's one of those things where like they trademarked the like armored evolutions, the name, which, with trademarks, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do anything with it. It just means that they at least thought about it. But there's no, if you hear any details about like what that is, those are just unsubstantiated rumors. It may be true, it may be not true, just like pretty much anything you could say about a Pokemon game. Like my Ireland thing that I just said a little while back, that would count as a thing that could or could not happen. It's sort of like that, maybe a little bit more credence to it because people have thought about it, for more than the 60 seconds that I've had this idea currently in my brain and told it to you through your ears. The other thing I wanted to talk about with the new Pokemon game was that they're bringing back wild encounters, not like they had in Pokemon Go. Much to dismay of enough people. I don't know exactly how many people were on the Let's Go side. I was personally I kind of like the way that wild battles work. I wasn't upset about the way Let's Go did. I thought it was interesting. I didn't play it, but it looked interesting. And it might just be because that's the way I'm used to, but the fishing analogy that they talk about where it's how you have to reel them in, and also that there is not a cost, but there's different incentive balances to whether or not you go out and capture a Pokemon. Are you going to stick around in an area and try to find every single Pokemon that you can in hopes you get a rare or good one, or do you just take what you see immediately, right? There's a balance of that, and just being able to run around every Pokemon and also only fight the ones that you want to fight. I don't know. It's just not how I like to play the game, but I can understand that other people like to play the game that way. So I understand if you're disappointed about that. But, I don't know, I feel for a main line Pokemon game, if they're trying to make it in counter to Let's Go, the thing is just that the idea of going, because with Let's Go, the thing was that you're just catching pretty much, you're really incentivized to catch just anything that you see. And obviously people will balance that based on, but you get stuff, there is a reason to catch more than one of the same Pokemon, for example, beyond just the people who are looking for weird, IV values and competitive stuff. There's in Pokemon Let's Go, there's reason to catch a bunch of Pokemon. If you're talking about more standard formula, when you take with the wild Pokemon in the tall grass random encounters, what you have is less of an incentive to catch more than one of the same Pokemon. You stick to a core team, and there's no filling out the Pokedex is something that you can do if you want to, but there's not really a in-game reward for it, and that's just a different balance. Again, I don't think one is necessarily better than the others. The only aside from maybe one metric that you could do is how many one the ratio of people who like one to the other is really the only metric that I feel you could really judge it by. So if you did a poll, if Nintendo came out with a poll and said oh yeah, no, 90% of people like the Let's Go method, so we're just going to do that from now on. But I think that they also just need time to balance it. There were definitely issues with the system too. You had to have a bunch of Pokeballs sort of thrown into the ecosystem constantly because you're catching so many Pokemon. You don't want to have to be going and buying Pokeballs all the time. So that would have to factor in. And it does change a lot. And I feel people who wanted it, I feel assuming that you could just copy paste the wild Pokemon system from Let's Go into a new game and leave everything else the same, I just don't know if that's going to work. And when they're coming at it from having to build everything from the ground up instead of copy pasting red, blue, and green, or Pokemon Yellow, I guess is what Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee are, copy and pasting the world from that, you have a lot more freedom to like mess around with mechanics. That's been the case for all the remakes, right? Like, I mean, particularly Heart Gold and Soul Silver had the Pokemon following you, and then Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I think, was the biggest example of like a bunch of mechanics that they put in that weren't really in other games. You know, it's a mechanic that they need to bring back unless they did, and I just don't know about it. The LA thing, where you could, instead of like L equals A is what it is, and so you can play the game with one hand. I don't actually, thinking about it, you can play the game with one Joy-Con in one hand. I guess you could do for the Switch, which, I mean, would be interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a game where you hold the Joy-Con in one, you only have one Joy-Con in one hand. That's an idea. I'm going to save that for when there are people to talk about that with. But like you press L, the L button, the left button, or the left trigger instead of A, and so you can use the control stick in that and basically play the whole game. And like you even have the minus button on that, so like that would work. That would work too. I think that's something that they could bring back. But yeah, I also don't think that just because they're not putting the Let's Go Wild encounters in this game means that they're turned off to the idea forever. I mean, they brought back Pokemon walking behind you from Heart Gold and Soul Silver, so I think it's just a matter of, I really feel like it's a matter of this is the first like full, completely developed new game for Pokemon for the Switch, and I think they wanted to. There's only so many things that you can change at once, I think, with that. And I think they wanted to give, if it were me, and this, if it were me who was the person who had made this decision, my reasoning would be that I would want to give my developers less to worry about, have more grounded things that they could stick to so that they have more time to focus on the other new stuff that needs to be in the game, that needs to be new, like the new continent or island or whatever it is. So those are my thoughts on wild Pokemon and the new Pokemon games. I am excited for them. Yeah, I didn't play Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, partly because I knew this was coming out and I thought I would like this one better. I played Fire Red a lot when I was a kid. That was the first Pokemon game that I played. And so, like, it's cool. I like it. But I'm also kind of like, I'm good on that, in that area, if that makes sense. Like, I understand. I got it the first time. I played Blue. So like, I've got enough of that, of the Kanto Pokemon experience. Like, I don't feel like I'm missing out. Alright. It's me. It's a podcast with just me, Joseph Barton. You knew that this was going to come. You were probably surprised that I didn't open with it. Let's talk about the Mega Man television show, Mega Man Fully Charged. It's been a while since I've talked about this, partially because I know that, like, way back when I was first getting into the podcast, and then for a little bit when the show was coming back out, it was like all I could talk about. It was like every episode, and I felt like I was kind of overdoing it. But it's just me now. I'm not, stepping on anyone else's conversation toe. So let's talk about the Mega Man TV show, because I talked about it to you enough. You probably want to know, like, what happened with it. If you don't know anything about it, if you didn't listen to those episodes or you just forgot, which is fair. Mega Man, the video game, that is the video game series that I really like a lot, came out with a new TV show. It's the second Mega Man TV show, the third one to feature, well, I guess if you count Battle Network, I don't know how many times you could count the Battle Network things. But like if you're talking about classic Mega Man, you've got the Ruby Spears cartoon, and then you've got Captain N, which features a very strange Mega Man. It was like, Mega, word, I say Mega before Mega things, some Mega times. And, this new one, Mega Man Fully Charged, it's a 3D animated Mega Man cartoon developed, produced by Man of Action, the people who do Ben 10, or did Ben 10. I guess they still do Ben 10, but like the team that is doing this one or like producing it at the very least, or developing it, or whatever the word is are the same people that did the original Ben 10 series, which is a show about a kid who has a wrist device that can turn him into different aliens, and it's a cool show, and I grew up with it, so I like it a lot. It's fun. It's kind of like Mega Man, right? Like, has an array of different abilities that they can use at specific times. Why do you think we've got a theme here? Kirby also. I've got a taste. Anyway, so I've been watching the show. It's been a lot of episodes. I don't know if it's going to have a second season because it's only ever on actual television at like 5 a.m. So no one's watching it on actual television. I think everyone who's watching it is watching it on the app, which is what I do. I watch it on the Cartoon Network app or the Cartoon Network website. But I mean, I like it, is the thing, which is a different thing from like giving it a quality seal of approval. And I'm not also not giving it that. I just want to start out with the statement that I like the show. I enjoy watching it. I've watched all the episodes. I don't like every single episode. The show has a weird pattern of like they upload like a bunch of episodes at once before like they air on television, so they upload them in blocks, and every single one of these blocks almost always ends with the second to last episode is like a cool episode that I enjoy, and then the last episode is a bad one about Airman. I don't understand why all the Airman episodes are bad, but they are the worst ones. So that's something. So like they're definitely ones that I would even recommend skipping. And honestly, like if you like tried to watch the show and you didn't enjoy it, I would recommend like skipping ahead a few episodes, because I mean like some stuff, there is some plot that happens, but like it's pretty easy for you to be like, as long as you know that you skipped episodes, being like, oh, this is probably a thing that happened in another episode. But I do enjoy it. Like the plot in a given episode can be pretty hit or miss. There's some that I've enjoyed and some that are just like, I need to finish my science project before school, and that's the whole episode. And there's not really much more to it than that. Or like, I learned a lesson that had nothing to do with what happened during the first 9 minutes of this episode. But like overall, there is like this plot. First of all, what I thought was really interesting was they have a different villain, right? His name is Sergeant Knight, and he does have a big mustache, so he's got that going for him, Dr. Wily style. But at first you're like, oh, so this is just the character who's robot racist, okay, and it's gonna be like really cheesy, and no one's gonna be like, everyone's gonna be like, well, yeah, obviously he's just evil. This isn't interesting. It's just a guy who doesn't like robots, and he's a butt about it. But then he's working with the robots, and you're like, okay, that's strange. Is he like pulling a trick on the robots? But then, like, he's always working with the robots, and like everything he does with the robots, he has a secret robot identity where he pretends to be a robot and fight for robot rights. So I don't know what's happening. Which is interesting. Like the fact that, like, and the interesting thing about it is that his motivations, like in any given episode, are really clear. Like he wants to get, one of the things is like Dr. Light has this MacGuffin called the Mega Key, which can give you full, and I think that what they say is full access to a robot's systems. And even in the show, like Mega Man's like, that seems like it could be misused even by someone with good intentions. I'm not entirely sure I'm comfortable with this item existing. So like they address it as something like that, which I thought was kind of fun, and like, keeping it interesting. But like, so he wants that, and obviously he wants it because like it's powerful, right? So he's trying to get it. So I think that makes, him engaging, the villain and the activities of the villain engaging as someone, to watch in any given episode. But it's also interesting that I don't know what he's up to. I don't know what his like long-term goals are, and I really hope that they don't let me, because one of the things too is that like there's a bunch of other stuff. Like there's this Proto Man-esque character who's like, Mega Man's mere foil in terms of like hero anti-hero sort of thing, and like they've been pretty clear about like how it's like probably some kind of evil version of Mega Man built the same way or something, because he's got like the same powers. The descriptions of episodes call him like Namagem, which is just Mega Man backwards. I would like to point out that is not mentioned anywhere in the actual television show. In fact, they make a point to say that they don't know what his name is. So I don't know if that's actually true. It may end up being true. That's another thing, because like there's certain things about this show that seem a lot more stupid on the surface than they actually are. Like I think one of the big ones was like Dr. Light. Like, how does Dr. Light not know that his robot son is Mega Man? Didn't he build his robot son? And the show is pretty immediately like, no, he knows. He just like acts like he doesn't because the other characters don't think he does. Which you could argue like why that might be silly, but I will say the humor can also be pretty hit or miss. There's definitely some episodes that just drag because they're all written by different people is one of the things, and I don't want to call anyone out specifically. Unless there was someone who wrote all the Airman episodes, because I kind of already did. I'm sorry if that's the case. There's the first Electman episode. That's a good one. That one was actually funny. They have like the transformation sequence, and it's one of the episodes where they goof around with it sometimes, and it's really good. I also really like the dynamic between Mega Mini. Seems like the kind of Mega Mini is just this little robot that lives in Mega Man's head, and he's like kind of like this gruff mechanic, but he's also this tiny little thing who lives in Mega Man's head. And like it sounds like it would be kind of annoying, but like they make it work. The two characters actually have enough chemistry that like it's not. There are sometimes probably one of the biggest things, the biggest flaws humor wise about the show is that they'll often do the joke that goes on too long. Like they hit their punchline and then they try to get like one or two more punchlines out of that same joke, and you're just like, no, stop. You got it in one. Stop trying to keep going. Like, just move on. Like, keep the pacing going. Because, like, they'll sit on a joke for, like, way too long, and it just wrecks the whole pacing of things. But sometimes it is funny, and sometimes it tries to be serious, and you're kind of like, this is just a little silly. Sometimes it does actually, like, manage to make something connect, though. Like, it's established, Woodman shows up, and it's established that if Woodman gets hit with anything from a fireman weapon that Mega Man has copied, that it, like, I don't know if they say it will kill him, but, like, it's pretty explicit, like, he will be dead. Like, he will just blow up, which I think is, they don't play it for laughs, but I do think it is funny considering how Heat Man's weapon works on Woodman and Mega Man 2, where it just, like, destroys him in one hit if you're playing on normal mode on the American version. But, like, there's one of the things, and this is something I enjoy about the show, is that when Mega Man copies an ability, it comes with the caveat that he takes on some aspect of the robot mental state of the robot that he copies from. So with Woodman is like this they made him like ninja-esque. They put all these twists on him, which like you may think is silly, but also like if you read any of the things, any of like the added canon of the classic Mega Man series, like they've all got weird personalities, so they're just doing different weird personalities. It's not really out of the question. But so like when Mega Man copies his abilities, he gets really paranoid, and you spend the whole episode with Mega Man being super paranoid. And then like the idea is like through the episode you're establishing like this is what's going on like in Woodman's head, like even if he seems calm and collected, like he's got this anxiety that he's dealing with. I don't know if they really go into it like as like a mental health issue like anxiety, or just like that he's paranoid, and they just kind of like drop it at that surface level of calling it paranoid. But then at the end of the episode, like Mega Man's like, oh, we need to use the fire weapon to defeat this guy, but Woodman's around, and if Woodman gets hurt like with this, like he could be dead. And Woodman says, I trust you. And it does feel a little cheesy, but at the same time, like it gives you like there's a strength to it because like you've seen firsthand through Mega Man like how paranoid and how nervous this guy is and how much he feels like he can't trust anyone. So like it works, and it works on like a fairly basic level, but it does work. So I think this show, like if you haven't liked it, I would give it a chance. They finally got good at making new robot masters. I think they made a new version of Quickman, and they just completely revamped Quickman into a completely different character, which is, like, good. I think, like, it's because they're already revamping. Like, one of the things about revamping is, like, you have to think about, and this goes for, like, the whole show, too. It's like, you have to think about what elements do you need to keep the flavor of it. And, like, for the robot masters, which they do use that term sometimes, it's interesting. I think they want to play with it. Like, for the robot masters, like, you just want a bunch of robots with specific powers. And at first they were bad at it, because out of the first 3 robot characters that they made, like, robot villains that they made, that weren't, like, based on another Mega Man, boss. 2 of them didn't have any powers. One of them was a boring chemistry teacher. I don't understand why people thought, let's listen to a guy who is explicitly boring. That wasn't great. Blasto Woman is a fun character, but also, like, she doesn't have powers, too. So it's kind of weird. And also the name Blasto Woman, just, like even Jetpack, because she has a jetpack. Like, even Jetpack Woman would have been better. Or just, but so... In the more recent one, they basically turned Quickman into this character called Chaotique, which is chaotic with the Q-U-E. And she's very fast and a prankster, which, like, goes along with, like, Mega Man both in this show and in extended classic canon of, like, just adding a weird quirk. But it works because it's very different from, like, regular Quickman. But, like, if you're going to change stuff, why not change, as many things as you want? And then, like, they throw in details, like, at the end of that episode with her, she's like, I know who you are. Like, she knows Mega Man's secret identity. And I'll get to that in a second. But, like, it creates good... I feel like as a whole, the show is very good at creating a long-term intrigue, a long-term interest. I am legitimately invested in what's happening to these characters long-term. Episode to episode, sometimes it's just kind of like... I think the worst episodes are just, like, the ones where Mega Man gets an emotion from a robot master, and then he just has that emotion for a really long time, and then arbitrarily doesn't have that emotion anymore. And it's just like, he didn't grow, he didn't learn how to deal with it, he just stopped having the problem at, a minute before the episode needed to end. Those are probably the worst episodes. But, like, it is, I think, I mean, it's not, like, a huge thing, but, like, shows in general are trying to adopt. As streaming becomes more viable, shows are adopting these, horizontal storytelling, verticals? I don't know. They're doing, like, these long-term plots they're less just purely episodic. You can watch them in any order episodes. So, yeah. Oh, what did I want to say? Oh, the secret identity. We'll just talk about this, because how long have we been talking about Mega Man? A while. The secret identity works well enough. It kind of, like, balances because that, like, enough characters know about it. Like, his sister knows about it, the guy in his head knows about it, and Dr. Light knows about it, even if he, like, but pretends not to. So, like, there's a funny stress when, like, I think there's one episode where he just, like, comes out of his bedroom as Mega Man, and his sister is just like, what are you doing? This is our house. Our father is in here and could be in this room at any moment. Are you crazy? So there was a funny line, and there's some funny lines between them too. But, like, for the most part, it's not just like I need to save the day, but I can't let anyone see me. So it doesn't really factor in, like, the whole, like, balance, because, like, the whole balance thing of, like, balancing your hero life and your real life, I don't know, it's kind of played, in my opinion. Like, you can do stuff with it, but, like, if you're gonna do it, you have to, like, do something with it, I think, at this point, because it's been explored pretty thoroughly in general. So yeah, I could probably say more things about the Mega Man television show. But let's pivot into other video game media. I don't know if we ever talked about this. I don't think we have. But there's the Sonic movie. The Sonic the Hedgehog theater movie. That's a movie that's coming out in theaters that you can see in theaters. It's kind of like, there's Detective Pikachu, which is also, like, this sort of live action-y thing. We've seen some shots of Sonic. It's not great, but here's the thing. Lots of people say it still looks bad, and I can see where they're coming from. I don't know if I actually think it looks fine, or if I'm just tired. I'm just tired. It's been Sonic, this whole thing has just been a crazy thing. Video game movies have been such a thing that at this point, I'm kind of like, you know what, whatever. Like, I don't have enough energy to invest in deciding whether or not this is actually good or bad. It may look good in the actual movie once it comes out. I still, what they should do? They should do the first episode of the hit anime television show Sonic X. The first episode of that is one of, like, 2 pieces of Sonic media that have actually gotten Sonic moving fast to feel real without doing some weird effect that's like, okay, you just put, like, a blue highlight behind him, but he's not actually, like, moving fast. If he, like, gets in a race with race cars and he goes faster and faster until he breaks a sound barrier, that'll be a cool movie. Just make the whole movie that. No. I don't know if it'll work. There's also, like, a Mega Man movie coming out. We're just going to go back to Mega Man real quick. I like Mega Man, so I'm like, I want to see a Mega Man movie, but also, Mega Man doesn't work as a movie. Like, there's the Mega Man fan film, and like, super props to the people making it because it's a fan film. But like, you watch it, and you're like, yeah, this just doesn't like the basic idea of how the Mega Man, like Mega Man 1's plot, just doesn't work as a movie because you fight a guy 8 times. Like, I mean, not the same one, but like the middle of the movie has to be fighting a robot, and you either you use your weakness or you don't use the weakness, and it just doesn't like translate. So you gotta like change a lot, and I just don't know. I don't know what you could change it to for a movie to feel satisfying without taking out so much of it. I just don't know. I don't know how you could do it. You'd have to change a lot. So I don't know if that's going to be good. The Sonic movie, I think it just there's only so bad it can be. By that I mean Sonic is already kind of goofy and like doesn't have it's kind of lost its seriousness. It's kind of I don't want to say it's self-respect, but like Sonic tried to take itself really seriously for a while, and I think they finally moved past that. I think they've kind of accepted that they're becoming like the cool uncle, like who's not like really cool by today's standards, but he's fun to be around, and he's like he epitomizes this type of cool that was really cool at one point, and now is just like an not a historical artifact, but like a cultural artifact, right? It's not like super old, but like culture moves really fast. But like it still has like that appeal, that positive appeal without being like serious cool, if that makes sense. So like as long as they don't treat it too seriously, and even if they do, it'll still be fun to watch, I imagine. So that's that. But let's move on. Hey guys, hey everyone listening to me right now here in the podcast. What video games have you been playing in recent times? What video games have I been playing in recent times? I get to start. I don't get to start usually because I have to ask the question, and it would be weird to start after asking the question. But I get to start. This is so cool. I enjoy it. I literally today downloaded this game called Baba Is You. And you may have heard of it. It came out recently. And it's this puzzle game on the Switch. It's a downloadable Switch game, maybe other platforms. I don't know. I downloaded it on the Switch. But what you do is, it's like this basic, grid, push things around puzzle game. But one of the things that you can push around is text. And this text has rules. So for example, Baba Is You. Baba is the name. I hear people call it a dog. I thought it was a bunny just because Baba Bunny. I don't know. But like you're this little white blob. It's not super detailed graphics. But so like that, but you could move like the word rock in front of is you, and now you control all the rocks. So you can move the word wall in front of is you, and you control the walls, and you can do things like wall is stop, so you can't go through walls. A skull is defeat, so if the thing that is you touches a skull, it explodes. And you've got all these words, and you can have like and has. And they really go, as far as I've played so far, they go like all out, and like each level has like different sets of words and different conditions for you to get to the whatever is win. So you have to touch what is win. Another thing is like that if you ever like if Baba is you or something, like if there isn't ever anything that is you, then it's just like the music cuts out and there's just this like, because like it's just like nothing exists, and it really plays around with like, and it gives you, obviously like in every single puzzle, like they can't let you do whatever you want because then the puzzles would be trivial, but like they make sure to set aside time, like set aside levels where like you get to do cool things that you want to do. Like you can turn yourself, I don't want to spoil like all of the big ones, but like I guess some that are like there's some where it's like you can turn yourself into all the wall in a level, and you're moving all of the wall at the same time. Or like you could say like box is Baba, and then all the boxes turn into your character, so you can control all the characters. And each like world has like a specific thing, a specific mechanic that you play around with, and then some added ones. So it's a lot of fun. It got hard really fast. But the thing that makes it fun to play is it's really quick to reset, and you can undo moves infinitely. Like you just press a button and you go back and undo whatever you did, and it makes the flow of the game so good. Every single puzzle game should have this, because nothing stinks more than having to redo a thing over and over and over again because you accidentally pushed something into a wall and you can't push it back because it's against a wall now. You have to undo all of this stuff. So it's really satisfying to do that. So yeah, I've gotten about partway through the game. This isn't a spoiler because I haven't done, this is a suspicion that I have just because of and not because of anything that's happened in the game, just because this is a suspicion that you could develop just by me telling you about the game. But I want there to be, I'm hoping that there is some end game or mid game thing, like in The Witness. If you've played The Witness, you know what I'm talking about. Where like partway through the game, because there's a map where you do a level selection, and I just want there to be partway through the game where like something happens on the map, and like you do stuff on the map, and it's like, oh, the map was actually like a level this whole time, or something like that. Like do some kind of twist where, because like the whole thing of the game is like turning yourself and putting weird properties, like, oh, like in this level, like, not everything always makes sense. Like, oh, in this level, all the key, like there's a key in a door, but like touching the key makes you explode, and you actually have to like push the box into the door to unlock it, or you have to like actually make the door unlockable before you can push the box into it to unlock it, and stuff like that. So they'll do times where it twists it. A lot of the time it'll at least start out with things that make intuitive sense. Otherwise, like, you'd have to read this long list of rules, especially as the levels get more and more complicated. But yeah, I want there to be like a cool twist, and that's what I'm hoping for. I don't know. Again, it's not a spoiler because I don't know. I want to put, if you haven't played the game, I want to put this anticipation in for you too. And I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I think you'll enjoy the game anyway. It's on the Switch eShop, and I can just look it up. Hold on. Oh yeah, it's on Steam. So yeah, you can play it on Steam too. Yeah. Oh boy. I'm running out of things to say. I've been playing other games too. I've been playing a lot of Tetris 99 still. I've won like 8 games, like kind of really close together, like over the course of like a week, and I haven't been able to recreate it again. It's kind of the bummer, to be honest. I miss being able to just to get that like once like every 2 days that I play, because I don't play it every day, but like if I play it, I usually play it for a while. What else? Oh, Mario Maker 2. Have we even talked about Mario Maker 2? I want to talk about Mario Maker 2. Mario Maker 2 is coming out this... I actually talked about this earlier. But, like, Mario Maker 2 is coming out on the Switch. That's going to be super cool over this summer. Like, because a lot more people have a Switch than a Wii U. I'll tell you that much. So, and, like, the portability of it, like... coming up with because like you never like sit down to build a level. You like get hit with inspiration. You're like, I want to do this right now. So like, and the portability of it, hopefully they make good sharing options, but they're adding a bunch of cool stuff. I mean, just go look at the trailer. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. There's a lot of stuff that could do. What else have I been playing? Oh, I guess I could update you on Wargroove. I beat Wargroove. I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I did beat it, and I've been playing through the arcade. The arcade, it's and I haven't played it in a while because of this. But the arcade has like easy, medium, and hard. And like if you want to get everything, you got to do the hard mode, because hard mode is just the same thing, but the enemies I think are stronger, and they get twice as much funds as you do per turn, because it's Wargroove is a tactics game, and you get funds to build units based on how many places you've captured. So like the problem with that is like it's fairly balanced on normal, but with hard, the different maps can wildly vary in difficulty. Because like if you each have 3 properties, let's say, right, then the difference between the amount of money that you're making and your opponent is making is 300, right? I think that's the way the math works out. Which like is an advantage, but it's not like a huge advantage, right? But like if it's like to the point where they're making 1,000 more than you per turn, or like enough that they can build like 2 dragons and you can only build 1 dragon, So, like, there's just some maps that are basically impossible on hard mode and other maps that are almost trivial. There's this one map that comes up. It's like this horizontal one, like this very small horizontal one. You might, if you play the game, you might know what I'm talking about. And, like, I've got the formula down for that. I've played that level so many times. But it's just not fun to lose on the levels where it's just not like, it is possible, I'm sure. But, like, it's just, like, a slug. And also, the water ones, especially in that, they take forever. It's just this slow crawl of sending turtle after turtle after turtle against your opponent. So I haven't been playing it a lot. I enjoyed the campaign a lot, but I didn't like the. But there's a whole bunch of internet content that I really haven't sunk my teeth into. There's like supposed to be campaigns that you can play, like download other campaigns, and like people can like they give you a strange amount of freedom with the mechanics. So like there's probably a lot more in there that I could have the opportunity to mess around with that I just haven't done it yet because I've been playing other video games. I've been playing Smash Online some. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Trainer. You may have seen it on stream when Anna and I were doing the stream. But yeah, Pokemon Trainer I like. Again, the theme, I like having a bunch of different powers to switch between, and just like having that like, oh, this, if like instead of having bad matchups, I just like, oh, this character is good against this character. Like, you know, if a character is like wants to keep you at range, Squirtle is really good because Squirtle can close the distance really easily because Squirtle is very small and hard to hit and has like a bunch of options for that. If you've got a character that like needs to get up close and doesn't have a lot of range, then Ivysaur is good because it's got a bunch of like moves that like happen at like this sort of mid-range distance, and you can just throw Razor Leafs. And if you need to launch people off the stage, you can just use Charizard and use Side B, and a lot of the time it works. But yeah, like you can switch it up if so it doesn't feel like it's the same thing over and over again. So I still like Mega Man and Bowser, but I think as of right now, Pokemon Trainer is like my go-to for that. What else? I think that is all of the things that I have to say. Fortnite did an update and people don't like it. People still don't like Anthem, as far as I can tell. Those are other news things. I can't tell you more about them. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me. This may be a little bit shorter than a normal podcast because it was just me and my voice is getting tired from being the only one talking for so long to be one person talking. It went better than I thought. I hope it was at least interesting. I tried to be funny. I'm hoping it's at least interesting. Yeah. This probably won't happen again. At least not like this. But I think this was an interesting success, especially for a time where I didn't have time. I want to say, in case this was a concern, if anybody listening to this on the staff, this was not a case of, nobody was able to make it this week, and so I'm mad, so I made a podcast in indignation. I was the one who didn't have time this week. I didn't want to, because I didn't know. I mean, I'm recording this Saturday night, which is like way closer to podcast release than normal because it's just been really busy over here. And I had the idea once. I knew that this week was going to be busy, and I knew that April Fool's Day was happening. So that's where this idea came from. It's not like out of any indignation of people not being able to make it or anything. Hopefully, if time allows, now that this sort of crunch couple of weeks is over, we'll get you some other bonus podcast content with other people in it in case this was not your jam. Because that would be totally fair. But I think with that, I'm going to end this episode. So thank you for listening to this episode, JD2, of the GameCola Podcast featuring me, your Jost with the most, Joseph Martin, and no one else. I don't know if this was a good idea. Maybe it's not. We'll see. If you like this, you could check out the actual internet website, GameCola.net. There's other parts of me there, and also other people besides just me. The other podcasts that you could listen to have people besides just me. Oh my gosh, my voice is dying. You can also check us out on YouTube, GCDotNet, the letter G, the letter C, the word dot, the word net. We've got Danganronpa's back up. I think it's updating James was talking about updating every 2 weeks. I don't know if he started doing that, but it's at least updating every week. And people seem into it. So if that's your jam, check it out. They're long videos, but James and other people tell me that that's what people want. So, like, sink your teeth into it. I mean, like, what am I? I've been recording a order of magnitude hour podcasts. So, like, who am I to talk? You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Just search GameCola and you'll find us. Tweet at us using the hashtag the GCPC. Hashtag the GCPC. Try to remember it. That's me, not you. I'm not telling you to, I mean, I would like it if you remember it, but it wasn't like a command. It's a new thing, so we're still getting used to it, even though it's been, look, podcasts happen every month, so like things stay new for a while. Like, this is going to be the podcast for April for an entire month, or the GameCola Podcast, the GCPC, for an entire month. So like things take a while to become old in GameCola podcast time. Twitch.tv/GameCola. Now that I have some free time, maybe we'll stream again later in April. I think. You can. Check us out. Our Discord links are in description on the GameCola website or on our Twitter. You should be able to find an invite link. Join us and talk about video games. You can send us questions on Discord. You can send us questions by using the hashtag #TheGCPC. You can email us questions at podcast@GameCola.net. Whatever way works for you. Whatever way you want to send questions. Send them your way, and I will get them, and we will read them on the podcast. I think that is everything. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for humoring me on this April Fool's Day. This was a weird idea. Hopefully it worked out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I mean, if you're here, listen. Genuinely, I appreciate you sticking around with this dumb idea that I had. Have a wonderful time of day. Whenever, like, you could be listening to this in the morning, in the evening, at night, afternoon. That's another one. That's another time you could be listening to a podcast. Whenever you're listening to this, wherever in the world, in the future, probably not in the past because that doesn't make any sense, but like 10 years from now, maybe me in the future. I listen to the podcast sometimes. I might come back and listen to this again. I don't know if I will because it's a little bit egocentric to listen to a podcast where it's just you talking. But wherever you are, whenever you are listening to this, thank you. And we'll see you later in the month and also next month. Have a good April. I ate peanuts before the podcast, which was a bad idea because peanuts always just like, if I'm just sitting around, it doesn't matter. But if I have to talk, I can't talk after eating peanuts. That's the problem. That'll probably go in the end bit. I was worried that I wasn't going to have an end bit, but then I said a thing about peanuts, so I guess we do have an end bit.